Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering video. So now we're up to Dissension in terms of our nostalgic pack openings. So nostalgia. So Dissension is the third set from the original Ravnica, the Ravnica City of Guilds block. So we're now moving on, and we're up to a point where we've just got 3 guilds left. If you remember, as I mentioned in previous videos, the guilds were spread out, the 10 guilds were spread out over the 3 sets. So 4 in the first set, 3 in the second, 3 in the third. So this time round we have the Azorius Senate, which is white-blue, Cult of Rakdos, black-red, and the Simic Combine, green-blue. It's a small set, 60 rare, 60 uncommon, 60 commons. There's actually 15, slightly more than for a small set, because in this set they reintroduced, I suppose, the split cards, which were around originally in the invasion block. So something else to look out for here. In terms of the keywords and abilities that came up, because if you remember, each of the guilds had a specific keyword or ability attributed to it. So with Azorius Senate we've got Forecast, with Simic Combine we have Graft, and with the Cult of Rakdos we have Hellbent. I mentioned the split cards also. There's a number of cards with protection on them, so protection from monoid coloured or protection from multicoloured. In terms of cycles, one thing to note is that the cycle of lands that has been spread out over the sets, over the block, continues. So we've now got the 3 remaining shocklands for each of the colour pairs, and the 3 bounce lands for each of the colour pairs. There's a cycle of Idians, and they're like 2/2 spirits with converted mana cost of 4 that can be sacrificed for effect and may be returned from the graveyard to your hand whenever you play a multicoloured card. The split cards, there are a cycle of uncommon split cards and a cycle of rare split cards, and you'll see how the colours break down on those split cards when we take a look at them. And one more thing before we start cracking these open, in terms of the prices, because I know quite a few people are sort of interested in the relative sort of price of cards in here. Obviously the shocklands tend to be the more expensive things. So Blood Crypt I think is hovering around 22, 23 bucks, and I'm using prices here from MTG Goldfish. That's in paper. And then there's Breeding Pool, Hallowed Fountain, just below 20 bucks. And then going sort of down towards 5 bucks, we've got other cards like Infernal Tutor, Grand Arbiter, Augustine IV, Void Slime, Proclamation of Rebirth, Pride of the Clouds, Dovescape, and then with Protean Hulk, it's just below 5 bucks. In terms of the most expensive common we're likely to see, that would be Utopia Sprawl, and they're around somewhere between 3 to 4 bucks. And uncommon Ghost Quarter, again, it's somewhere between 3 to 4 bucks for that. You're also going to see quite a few, if we get lucky enough to get them, in terms of prices. There's several of the guild specific legendaries as well that are sort of hovering around the $3, $4 mark, and those, things like Experiment Crage, and they're at rare, so hopefully we'll get lucky and pull one of those, just because it's always fun to pull a legendary. I'm going to open up 5 packs here. This is a 2-part video. 5 packs this time round, 5 packs next week. So let's open these up, see what we get. Other things to watch out for, obviously these have got the guild symbol down in where the rules text is. Okay, these are actually a bit more shiny than normal, so I'm having a bit of trouble reading these. Okay, so, well, the first card on here, the common, actually has the guild mechanic. So as we go through these, I'll obviously highlight them first time round. And so here we've got the guild mechanic for the Simic Combine. So this card is actually a mono green card, but it does have graft on it. So with graft, this creature comes into play with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever another creature comes into play, you may move a +1/+1 counter from this creature onto it. So basically you get this ability to move +1/+1 counters about. And for green, target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it can block as though it had flying this turn. That's something else you'll see with graft and other cards, is an ability that cares about creatures having +1/+1 counters on it. And that's a pretty flexible ability. You'll find somewhere that actually imparts some sort of positive thing, but other ways in which it can be used to destroy a creature maybe, or do something else. So yeah, just keep your eye open for those grafts, and also cards that just play around with +1/+1s generally, but don't specifically maybe have a graft mechanic on them, or they care about other cards having +1/+1s on them. Macabre Waltz is our next common. Silkwing Scout, which has so this is a blue card with flying, but then it's got a green ability on it. And again, I don't know how easy you can see down there. There's the watermark, the Simic watermark. Assault Zeppelin, got quite a few Simic cards here. Karoom, that one doesn't have that's a mono white card. There's nothing that sort of ties it into a guild there, so no guild watermark. Oh, the other thing, of course, the signets. We would see 3 on-colour signets in here for each of the guilds. So we've got the Rakdos one here. So it basically takes 1 mana of any colour and filters it. Not only that, but it expands it so you get 2 colours in the appropriate guild. So with red Rakdos, so we've got a black red here. Got Beacon Hawk. Overrule. Utvara Scalper. Plumes of Peace. So this is in the white-blue guild, so the Azorius guild, and it has the Azorius keyword ability on it. So this is an enchantment. We enchant a creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, and this has forecast on it. So white-blue, reveal Plumes of Peace from your hand. Tap target creature. Play this ability only during your upkeep and only once each turn. Soulsworn Jury. Okay, so the first of these split cards, let's just turn this around so you can see this. So we've got Trial and Error. So on the trial side, which is white-blue, we have return all creatures blocking or blocked by target creature to their owner's hand. And on the error side, which is blue-black, counter target multi-coloured spell. Now what you'll notice is the first part, which is, you could say, is the Azorius part, is the white-blue of the trial. The second part is actually in a guild colour, the blue-black guild, which isn't in this particular set. It was in the block as a whole, but not in this set. And the common denominator between the two is the blue. So you'll find this on these split cards. of having one of the colour combinations of the guild in the set, and I believe the colour combination of a guild that's not in the set, but they have a common colour. And you could argue that this might be a sort of pointer card towards playing a 3-colour deck in a set where primarily the structure is 2 colours. But we'll see that based on the sort of combinations we get. We've got there was these utility lands as well at uncommon, which we've seen before. So you'll find in this case we've got Rick's Maddie Dungeon Palace. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool, or sorry, 1 colourless, should I say, 1 colourless to your mana pool, and then 1 black-red. So we have the Rakdos colours. Tap, each player discards a card. Play this ability only any time you could play a sorcery. And our rare is, oh no, not yet, sorry. it's actually, I must be at a funny angle. The cards are pretty shiny from where I am, and it's actually quite difficult to see the colours on the set symbol. So we've got Ignorant Bigs, 1 and a red, and I sort of gave that away, but if you caught that, we do have a shock land. Wow. So we have Hallowed Fountain. So this is the Azorius one. So taps, add white or blue to your mana pool. As Hallowed Fountain comes into play, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, Hallowed Fountain comes into play tapped instead. So that's pretty cool. Not a foil like last time, but a shock land nonetheless. So always pleased to see those in this set. Now we have another cycle here. We've got the bounce lands. So this is the Simic 1 Simic Growth Chamber comes into play tapped. When Simic Growth Chamber comes into play, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Can be any land, doesn't have to be a non-basic. And these can be quite useful. It looks like it's slowing you down, and in terms of sort of mana production, initially it will be because they come into play tapped. The good thing, 2 things really, is that when they untap, at that, once you're able to tap them, you get 2 colours. You get the guild colours, in this case green blue. The other thing is if you happen to play in a format outside of just say if you're playing this limited, this might not be relevant, but in a particular format where there's a very wide pool of utility lands, some of which have enter the battlefield triggers, then you can effectively bounce those lands into your hand and then recast them to basically re-trigger that. Azorius Signet, so here's the Signet, the white-blue one. Simic Ragworm. Stealing Stance, that's got forecast on it, which we've already seen. So what you can see here, actually, just to look at this one, because it's really clear on this. So creatures you can control get +1/+1. And that's 1 and 2 white to cast. With the forecast for a single white, you can reveal the card and a target creature gets +1/+1. So you're getting a similar effect, but to a lesser degree, or a lesser so the effect itself is a +1, giving something +1/+1. However, if you cast it normally, it's for 1 and 2 white, it's going to give all your creatures +1/+1 until end of turn. If you utilize forecast and just reveal it, then it just gives +1/+1 to 1 creature, and the cost is less, a single white there. So again, as we're going through this, just keep an eye out the relationship between casting the card regularly and then just utilizing the forecast, and you should see a difference in the the width of the effect, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for. We've got Wrecking Ball here. Destroy target creature or land for 2 black-red. Sandstorm Eidolon. There we go. So we had a cycle of Eidolons. This is the red one. So 3 and a red. It's a 2/2. For single red, sacrifice Stormstone Eidolon. Target creature can't block this turn. Whenever you play a multicoloured spell, you may return Sandstorm Eidolon from your graveyard to your hand. Overrule. Idvari Scalper. I've seen this one already. Plumes of Peace. So we're already starting to get duplicates. Soul Swarm Jury. Vision Skeins. Scry Scribbling. So moving on to uncommon now. Mistral Charger. Azorius Guild Mage. So there was a Guild Mages across the whole set. We're into the last set now, and obviously we're going to see on-colour Guild Mages here. So this is the Azorius one. So you can see, in fact, all the Guild Mages had this hybrid mana. So this, and they were all 2 hybrid mana of their appropriate colour. So with Azorius, we've got white, blue, and then they had 2 abilities, and each one had a cost from, again, its guild colours. So for 2 and a white, tap target creature on this one, and 2 and a blue, counter target activated ability. Oh, and there we go, we have a Protein Hulk. So 5 and 2 green, creature beast. When Protein Hulk is put into graveyard from play, search your library for any number of creature cards with total converted mana cost 6 or less and put them into play. Then shuffle your library. That's a 6/6. So we're doing pretty well here on the rares so far. The other thing you'll notice, and I brought this up with other sets of this era, notice there's no promo cards, no basic lands here. Well, more importantly, no basic lands here. You basically have a common, an extra common in here, instead of the land slot that you normally see in, say, a modern set. Okay, so our first common is Macabre Waltz. We have a Wrecking Ball, a Cytospawn Shambler with Graft 6 on it. So again, it's messing around with +1/+1 counters. So, like I said, these are, as far as I know, these are always in 2 parts. You have the Graft ability itself, so Graft 6, so it comes into play with 6 +1/+1 counters on it. Also, you'll notice, again, I believe this is the same on all the creatures, they all have 0/0. So if you utilise all your +1/+1 counters over time, if you're moving them around with other cards, then yeah, when another creature comes into play, ultimately if you remove them all, then this creature is going to go to the graveyard when it gets down to 0/0. So we took all the counters that were on this creature. And then the second part, we've got an activated ability, in this case green, to activate it. Target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains trample until end of turn. And that's reoccurring on other creatures. You'll see, you know, the different combinations of the amount of graft counters and then some sort of graft related, or sorry, +1/+1 counter related ability. Guarding the Guild Pact, I mentioned that a number of cards have protection from monocoloured or multicoloured, and this is one of them. There's the Simic Signet, so the green-blue one. Seal of Fire. Coiling Oracle was in the set. Taste for Mayhem. Street Savvy. Vigean Hydropon, so that one's got graft 5 on it. Oh, so it does have a second. This one actually has a second ability here, and it actually isn't directly related to +1/+1 counters. So with this one, it just can't attack or block. Beacon Hawk. Drekovac. So moving on to our uncommons. Indrix Stomp Howler is in the set. This is a card that's popular in EDH Commander. Trigon Predator. And in our rare slot we have a land, a utility land. Oh, sorry. What am I saying? Well, I suppose that the utility is the fact that you can generate 1 mana of any colour. So this is actually at rare. This is Pillar of the Parans. I should have done a bit more research here. Actually, I'm not sure how many of the non-shock lands there were at rare. Lands that weren't shock lands at rare. But the restriction on here is spend this mana only to play a multicoloured spell. So it has a restriction on it. But this is half the fun of actually not doing a ton of research on this. So I try and meet a happy balance with this, is that I don't want to completely spoil it for myself and look up everything. But at the same time, I try and look up enough so I've got some idea of the general thrust of the set. And it's always nice when you know, stuff comes up that you weren't really aware of or you've forgotten about, and that's certainly the fact that there were other, you know, lands beyond the shock lands and the bounce lands that were actually at rare. I knew that there was some utility lands at uncommon, but I'd completely forgotten that there were actually some special lands at rare as well in the set. Or 8 in this case. We've got 1. I don't know if there's any more. We'll find out if we get lucky. Seal of Doom. Sandstorm Eidolon. Got one of those already. Minister of Impediments. Stealing Stance. Simic Growth Chamber. Aquistan Spider. Overrule. Gobhobbler Rats. So this has got Hellbent on it, so we'll stop here for a moment. So this is black red. It's a 2/2 for 2. The 2 being black red, and it has Hellbent. Hobgobbler Rats gets +1/+0 and has black regenerate Gobhobbler Rats as long as you have no cards in hand. So the Hellbent mechanic cared about how many cards someone had in their hand, and so it was like conditional on that. So I believe it was either conditional or there was a scaling effect there, but certainly it cared about what it was trying to do. And I'm pretty sure with Hellbent, because there's been other types of abilities and mechanics in Magic's history that care about how many cards you have in hand, but I'm pretty sure with the Hellbent one, the key thing was that you had an empty hand. So by doing that, it's, you know, like you're getting your cards out, and then there's almost like a reward for the fact that your cards are coming out real fast. It's not surprising to see that in black red, which traditionally is an aggressive color combination. Delirium Schemes. And but there's interesting, you've got cards that care about you basically emptying your hands. Each player discards 3 cards. Sporeback Troll was another card with graft on it. Got the Simic Guild Mage, so green blue hybrid mana. It's a 2/2, and the green ability, 1 and a green, move a +1/+1 counter from target creature onto another target creature with the same controller. And 1 and a blue, attach target aura enchanting a permanent to another permanent with the same controller. Drekavac. Patagia Viper. I'm probably saying all of these slightly different each time. It's got a Protean Hulk. As our rare. So that came up a bit quicker than I was expecting. So second Protean Hulk. And our foil is Entropic Eidolon. So 3 and a black. It's a creature spirits at common. It's a 2/2. It's in foil. And it says, so for a single black, sacrifice Entropic Eidolon. Target creature gains 1 life and you gain 1 life. Oh, sorry, loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever you play a multicolored spell, you may return Entropic Eidolon from your graveyard to your hand. So that's our foil. And our last of the 5. So we have Stealing Stance as our first common in this pack. Wrecking Ball. Sandstorm Eidolon. So now we're starting to really see duplicates coming up. Slaughterhouse Bouncer has Hellbent on it. So this particular flavour of Hellbent, and you can see with the Hellbents they're all quite different, but they all revolve around you having no cards in hand, the ones we've seen so far, and I think that probably is the case with all of them. When Slaughterhouse Bouncer is put into a graveyard from play, if you have no cards in hand, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Rakdos Carnarium. So that's our bounce land for black-red. Cytospawn Shambler. Graft 6. Whiptail Moloch. Thrive. So interesting with this one, it doesn't have the Simic watermark on it. It's X and a green spell, and it actually does care about +1/+1 counter. So it says put a +1/+1 counter on each of X target creatures. Hazda Exonerator. Overrule. Paladin of Prav with 4 cost on it. So here's our utility land at uncommon in Azorius colours. So we've got Prav, Spires of Order, tap, add 1 mana, 1 colourless mana to your mana pool, 4 white blue, tap, prevent all damage a source of your choice would deal this turn. Azorius Ploy. So our rare is Bronze Bombshell. 4 colourless for 4/1. And, 4 mana of any colour to cast for 4/1. It's an artifact creature construct. When a player other than Bronze Bombshell owner controls it, that player sacrifices it. If the player does, Bronze Bombshell deals 7 damage to him or her. So this is the card you're sort of trying to pass off to somebody else. I'm just having a quick look on the side. Yeah, so this is on MTG Goldfish. It's 161 at the moment for the paper version. And then they got a nice foil Guardian of the Guild pack. This is at common. It's a 3 and a white, protection from money coloured for a 2/3. And let's just have a look at the foiling there. Seems to be more foiling on the clouds there. We don't have this one doesn't have a guild watermark on it, so we don't get that nice sort of a real the real it pops out basically when you get that the watermark. But again, we've got that I suppose you'd call it like a very granular granite-like effect on the rules text there. So there we have it. That's our 5 packs of Dissension done. Very interesting pulls there. We did pretty well in terms of what we had in the rare slot. I think got some interesting lands. We got a couple of protein hulks, and we got our shock land there. So that was pretty cool set of packs there. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.